We're between videos. We just posted No Way Jose, a really good episode, a little over an hour ago. And at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to drop new video interview with George the Bull Peterson, the third. And I just want to take this interlude to talk about something that it's been an issue for many, many years in bodybuilding, but in other divisions. It seems to be more prevalent now that we have so many more divisions and so many more competitors that are new to competing and the whole contest prep experience, process, whatever you want to call it. And what I see a lot of times, and obviously this came up because we unfortunately had another death in our world related most likely to diuretics. Alina Korisova over at the Alicante show in Spain, the Alicante Spain show, Europa Pro, unfortunately, tragically, passed away night before she was going to compete. A lot of people are pointing their fingers at her coach, saying he had her on all these, I'm just saying allegedly. I don't know what he had her doing or didn't have her doing. But allegedly she was taking a lot of diuretics. And if someone dies suddenly, especially if it's at a contest or right before the test, 9.9 times out of 10, it's because of diuretics. I've said this many times before. Steroids, they're not good for you, obviously. We all know that. They can affect your heart, your kidneys, maybe even possibly lead to some cancer or some, who knows. We just know abusing steroids in large amounts for many years is not a good thing. But I could shoot 10 bottles of Test or Tren or whatever right now. I'd have a lot of lumps on my body. I'd probably feel physically not so great from doing all that, but it's not going to kill me. Diuretics can and do kill people within hours of administration. They can affect. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a drug expert at all, but I know a little bit from being around the sport for 30 years and having competed myself for 24 years. Those pictures in the thumbnail, that's me from my last couple outings on stage 8 years ago. So I do know a little bit about it, and I have used diuretics myself. But what I see, I've known people personally had heart attacks right before a show. Anthony DeRezzo from Rhode Island, he died the night before he would have competed at Masters Nationals. That was probably 15 years ago now. But most of the time when someone has an adverse, sudden event like that, I'll get to all the questions later. It's because of diuretics. Why they can disrupt. Obviously, dehydration is a major factor, but more importantly, they disrupt the electrolyte balance of the body, and they can cause your heart to stop beating. And cardiac arrest, that's the number one killer, more so than anything else in this world, even COVID, believe it or not. So, is it the coach's fault? We're not even going to get into all that. That's a whole other discussion. Other people are having that debate, that discussion all over the place. So I'm not even getting into that. What I want to talk about just briefly is that diuretics seem to be a large Hail Mary effort from a lot of competitors at the very end, the last week, 2 weeks. They're not in shape. They're not lean enough. And they look in the mirror and they see all that, but they think it's just water. If I drop the water, once I drop the water, if I can get rid of all this water, I'll be shredded. Granted, people hold water? Of course they do. Do people hold a lot of water? Typically, no. A woman on her menstrual cycle, they hold a lot of water. That's why they take the over-the-counter water pills, or in some cases they're prescribed pharmaceutical diuretics. There are a lot of medical uses for diuretics. People have edema. Certain medications cause water retention, and you have to take a diuretic to offset that, to keep the water flushed out. Bodybuilders, typically with the compounds we use in the off-season more so, they will cause you to hold a lot of water. Heavy doses of tests, even DECA causes water retention. Certain orals like D-bol, Anadrol, they're known to put weight on you really fast, but a lot of that is water weight, and you'll see, people joke about the D-bol face, the Anadrol face, because it gets puffy looking. And that is legitimate water retention, but on a contest prep cycle, I'll get to all these questions and comments. I definitely want to respond to all of them. On a contest prep cycle of drugs, typically what you see is items that do not cause you to retain a lot of water. You'll see guys using things like Tren, Masteron, Primobolan, Anavar, Winstrol. they're not retaining a lot of water. So there shouldn't be a need to flush out, 10, 20 pounds of water. And I can say from my experience, I remember the first time I used a diuretic was 2002 for the 2002 New England in May of that year. I was 212 pounds the night before the show, looking great for me. It's the best I'd ever looked. Took a Diazide, I took a Diazide that night. And when I weighed in the next day, I was 202. I lost 10 pounds of pure water. I didn't lose any fat. I was already incredibly lean. Did it make a difference? Made me a tiny bit crisper. I'd say like getting rid of that little bit of subcutaneous water, and I wasn't holding a lot of water. 5-10% better looking, but the fullness, I gave up well over 10% fullness to achieve that. I'd say more like 20-25%. And not being an enormous guy, I didn't have 20-25% of fullness to give up. I'm trying to get to see if this is listed yet. No, okay. I think I have to change to the MD account to do that, guys. So yeah, because I want to get to your questions, guys. I really do. Yeah, here we go. So when someone's prepping for a show and it's 2 weeks out and they still have body fat, I would never say, well, let's slam you with diuretics. I wouldn't even say, let's slam you with more clenbuterol or more T3 or, God forbid, DNP, which I've always been against. If you're not ready, very, very close to ready at 2 weeks out, I've tell people, there's a lot of shows. Why don't you just find something that's, 3-4 weeks later? Give yourself enough time to do this right, because the body does not like to be rushed. It doesn't like drastic changes. It doesn't like it when you cut the calories way down too fast. It doesn't like when you drop your water too much too fast. It doesn't, and it's always trying to maintain that homeostasis. It's always trying to level out. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, which is why people tend to rebound so hard after dehydrating. Once they put the fluids back in, they blow up like a water buffalo. But diuretics seem to be more and more, and they always have had this use, believe me, the mistaken use of trying to dial in condition at the last minute because someone's behind, they're not ready yet. If the body fat's not gone, diuretics only take water out of your body. They don't do a damn thing to your body fat. And our muscles are, what is it, 70, 80, 90, 110% water, something, whatever percent they are. They flatten you out. They take the volume out of your muscles. You don't notice as much with these gigantic pros. They have so much muscle mass. Think about somebody with as much big, full, round muscle as a Rolly Winkler or a Big Ramy. You wouldn't know the difference if they were flat or full. You really wouldn't. Their coaches would. They would notice. The people around them every day would see the difference, but you wouldn't notice the difference. Most of us don't have that kind of muscle mass. We're not that big. So it would definitely be noticeable on us. So, like I said, and that fullness, that can have a big impact on your overall shape. Not to say that you're going to be twice the size full as you are flat. That's another delusion. People think once I carb up, I'm going to be so big. You can carb up all you want. You're not going to look like Ramy. I'm sorry. Especially if you've lost muscle mass through the course of your contest prep. There's no amount of rice and potatoes or even Pop-Tarts and muffins that's going to get you back that muscle that quick. You lost muscle. It's going to take a little bit of time later on for you to regain that muscle. It's not just an issue of being flat. But diuretics are typically used to flush out water, and some people do. Everybody holds a little bit of water, but most people don't hold much. And like I said, especially on these contest cycle stacks, you're not using compounds that cause you to hold a lot of water. Even GH tends to be cut out a couple weeks out from shows because that also causes a little bit of water retention on its own. Anyway, guys, I see you've been giving some great comments and questions. I want to get to those now. Sorry, when I do that, you have to look up my nose. I apologize for that. I try to clip my nose hairs, but sometimes they're... Diet cardio gets you shredded, absolutely. And, like I said, there's I hate to say, Chris Tuttle made a good IG live post or movie or something a couple weeks ago, saying all you competitors out there posting about how hardcore, he goes, you're not hard, you're soft. Because a lot of these people don't want to suffer. All they want is cheat meals and give me something else to burn the fat so I don't have to go lower on my calories, so I don't have to do more cardio. They don't want to put the work in. They don't want to suffer. So they're always looking for something. And so, yeah, it's the coach. You can say the coaches have culpability because they're the ones providing them that option if asked, but you're dealing with a lot of crybabies. They really are. A lot of wussies. I'm sorry to say. And they just want easy shortcuts no matter what. I mean, I've worked with people. It's all they ever want to know is, can I eat this? Can I eat that? You give them a good plan of what to eat. Eat this and you will get lean, guarantee you. And they're still like, well, can I have sugar-free that? Can I have this? Can I have that? No, you cannot. I'm not saying you have to suffer to the point where you're miserable 24/7, you have no energy or anything, but to get super, super lean, it does take a lot of work. And for most people, it's going to take some suffering. You'll be hungry. You'll be tired. You'll lose your motivation. You won't want to get out of bed. You will not want to get out of bed to do that fasted cardio, which I don't even think that's necessary. You can do it after weight training. Anyway, let me get to some more. Good morning. Good morning to you, Jada. Just afraid. Now, if I mispronounce your names, guys, I'm a dumb American, so please cut me some slack. Ron, what's your take on T3 and dosages? I have no take. No take. I don't advocate it. People will use it. I'm not an expert. I would have to look it up on Wikipedia. I would have to look it up myself. I don't even know. So this is not a video to tell you what drugs to take to get ripped. I hope the title wasn't misleading like that. I would have titled it, These Drugs Get You Ripped, and that would have made you guys click for that. Jessica E. Roberts, diuretics are not something to be taken lightly for anyone, even those who need it for medical reasons. People think it's just about water. Yeah, in a few of these threads on Instagram and Facebook that I've seen talking about this unfortunate death of Mrs. Cosinova over in Spain. Doctors, a couple people were actually, or claimed to be, medical doctors were posting and they were horrified that bodybuilders so callously use not just diuretics, but they're using them for days and days, like a week out from the show, 10 days out from the show. They're using combinations of diuretics. These are drugs that are used in a medical setting very, very carefully under strict supervision, and they're monitoring your heart rate. All these things are being monitored because you can mess up. Diuretics can kill you, and if you're in a hospital, you're being treated or whatever, they're not going to let that happen. But you're in your hotel room about to compete the next day. You don't have a doctor sitting there monitoring all this stuff. You're going by how you feel, and you probably feel like shit anyway. So, you might feel like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Should I go to the hospital? There's a story about Ronnie. Was it the 2002 Olympia? One or two. It was 2002, I think. The year he had done the Arnold, and he couldn't peak twice. He wasn't getting in shape, so Chad gave him a drink the night before. It was most likely some very potent oral version of a diuretic, because Ronnie to this day says he has no idea what it was, but he pissed all night. And when he woke up, he was looking better, but he felt so bad, he was going to go. He told Chad, I said, I have to go to the hospital. I can't compete. He was supposed to compete at the Olympia in like 3-4 hours later that early afternoon. And Chad said, no, drink a gallon of water. You'll feel better. So Ronnie drank an entire gallon of water, laid down. He started to feel better immediately, went to the show, almost lost to Jay Cutler because he was water from that rebound. Because remember, the body always wants to go back to normal. It does not like extreme deprivation of any kind. And he almost lost the Olympia. Next question or comment. Healthy as a Horson. Your name must be Horson, I guess. Because diuretics only get rid of water either through potassium sparing, kidney looping, or sodium pumping. Diuretics actually have a negative effect on muscle building. Oh yeah, you need plenty of water every day. That's why, we're always telling everybody, drink plenty of water. Drink a gallon, 2 gallons of water a day. Especially if it's real hot and humid. We've had a very, very hot summer. Europe and the USA this year. I don't know about the rest of the world, but man, Europe and the USA have had a hellish summer in terms of the heat and humidity. So yeah, when it's like that, you need to drink even more water. Yeah, I guess that wasn't a question. It was a comment. Jessica E. Roberts again, electrolyte balance is essential for life. Mess with that and you will have problems. Yeah. Does 1 gram of sodium equal 4 grams of water? I don't know. Maybe. Look it up. That was Sri Ram. And he also says the fullness comes from muscle glycogen loss. No, you can have all kinds of glycogen, because I've been in that situation past couple times I competed where I had taken a diuretic and I wasn't drinking any fluids because I wanted to be all dry and tight. And I'm eating sweet potatoes, I'm eating rice, I'm eating rice cakes. Nothing's making me any fuller. I can't get a pump backstage, nothing, because you need water and glycogen together to fill out the muscle. The glycogen can't even get transported into the muscles without water. So there you go. Fullness come. OCB right now, some extreme protocols for sure. Yeah, and like I said, see, I'm drinking water. I drink water all. I get. That's one thing. If you drink a lot of water, you kind of get accustomed to it. And you get thirsty a lot more, I think. So forgive me. I get a dry mouth talking. Jose Garza. Shelby needs to stop with these crazy protocols. So Boston, Boston Lloyd he's been making posts about this, and there was one that had like 1,000 comments, and he was going back and forth. Some of Shelby's current clients were defending him and saying he's never had me do anything crazy like that. So I don't know, unless we have, we see proof. Here's an email, and this is what he told me to use. Who knows? But this is not a video about Shelby. It's not. My sugar daddy is controlling me. What a great screen name you have. Ron, what's the craziest protocol you've ever done? I've never done a crazy, quote unquote, peak week protocol. I really don't even like that phrase. I really don't. The craziest thing I ever did for diuretics was I took one diazide probably around 8 p.m. the night before I was going to be judged the next morning around 9 at Masters Nationals. This is July of 2013. And then because I have that sick bodybuilder more is better mentality, I think at 2 in the morning I went and looked in the mirror and I was a little drier, but I said, let me take another one. Bad idea. It might have been a half another one. I don't know. It doesn't matter. What happened with my foot, was it both feet? It was either one foot or both. I can't remember. My foot cramped up into, so this is your foot, like the top of your foot, the bottom of your foot. It cramped up like a claw, and I could not unstraighten my damn foot to save my life. And it was very, very painful. It was obviously because of the diuretics. So people say, well, you should have had this potassium. You should have balanced it out with that. You know what? I'm not a doctor. I didn't have a coach. Maybe a coach who knew these things would have been able to figure it out for me. The cramp went away by, 9 o'clock in the morning, thank God. But, yeah. So if you're talking about drug protocols, craziest protocols I ever did were a couple times I ran like 3-gram cycles leading into shows. 3 grams total of, I don't know, like Test, Tren, Masteron, Oral, Winstrol, Clen. I never took T3 by itself. The only time I ever took T3 was there was a brief period where there was an underground drug called Heat Miser being produced, which was a blend of clenbuterol, T3, and yohimbine HCl. And it came in a little concentrated vial, and you were told to dilute it with, I don't know how many ounces, like 4 ounces or 5, whatever amount of ounces. They told you, dilute this with mouthwash and, drink 1 ml equals this much Clen, this much T3, this much yohimbine. And it worked, but I lost muscle, man. Every time I used it, probably for two preps at least, and I lost muscle. You got to be so careful with T3. T3 burns up muscle, and for someone like me, it's very noticeable. Like I said, if you're big Rami size, you probably wouldn't even notice. You got so much damn muscle mass. I noticed. I get to the shows, I'm like, what happened? I lost a good 5-10 pounds of muscle during this prep. Not cool. Sai. Hi, Ron. What do you think about Sergio and Arnold? I'm hoping for top 2. Hey, I'd love to see Sergio look way better than I've ever seen him and win the Arnold Classic. I like Sergio a lot. I know he's outspoken. Some people call him a crybaby, this and that. But whatever. You know what? He speaks his mind. He's got a hell of a physique. He's had a tougher go than most. A lot of people see it as a huge advantage that he has father's name and a lot of his father's genetics, but it also means big shoes to fill. People expect a lot. His dad was a 3-time Mr. Olympia, but that was an entirely different era, the late 60s. Look at musclememory.com. You can look at contest results going back to like the early 60s. And I think Sergio, we know one year he won the Olympia and he was the only one who showed up. Nobody else even wanted to compete against him. A couple other years he won. I think there were 4 guys in the show. Bodybuilding was very small back then. There were not many pros. There were not many people competing for the Olympia, the universe. It was nothing like today as far as the numbers. So, yeah, I hope Sergio looks awesome. I'd love to see him win the Olympia. The Arnold in the Olympia eventually. Okay, what else we got? Shelby shouldn't be allowed to coach people. I mean, should any coach really be allowed to give drug advice when they're not medical professionals? No. That's considered practicing medicine without a license. You can be charged for that. So, I think this could have, I don't know, maybe not. Seems like every time somebody dies like this, we think there's going to be some massive upheaval and change, and people are going to come down on the coaches, and it doesn't happen. Coaches are a huge part of this industry. People need coaches now, especially because there's so many of them that are very new to it. They don't know what the hell to do. They need to hire a coach to guide them through the diet, maybe the training, definitely the gear, definitely all the drugs. They need a coach because most people don't have the time or the inclination to do all that research about all these different compounds that are used, how to use them, when to take them, which drugs to take, how much. Take it at 4 p.m. Do I take it with a meal? Do I take it without a meal? Do I take it before I go to bed? When I wake up? There's so much. It's so complicated now. I've often said if I hired a coach, it would purely be for the chemical side. That's it. I know how to get in shape. I'm not a drug expert. I would hire someone who's a drug expert. Do I want to take that chance? I don't. At this point in my life, I don't know. If you don't have the genetics for getting ripped, you'll have to suffer. J Dog says, I agree with that. I think anybody can get ripped. Anybody. Some people are going to have to go to very extreme measures, and they're going to have to go lower, no carbs. They're going to have to do hours of cardio. And is it fair? Because there are people who get ripped eating McDonald's every day, doing no cardio. Dexter Jackson famously did no cardio for about the first half of his bodybuilding career or more, his pro career. He only started doing cardio later on. And, is it fair? No. Is it fair that some people have these genetics to get enormous and be pros within, just a few shows of competing, and other people will never look like that no matter how many drugs they take, no matter how long they train, how many years, no matter how well they eat, sleep, doesn't matter if you don't have the genetics. Yeah, bodybuilding is one of the only sports where we a lot of times try to pretend that genetics aren't critical. People watch I say this, I know I sound like a broken record. People watch football, they watch basketball on TV, and they understand they couldn't do that. There's not like a magic pill or magic drug that could make them, the starting quarterback for one of the best teams in the NFL, or, play basketball like Kobe Bryant did. It takes a certain amount of genetic talent, but I think because there are so many, the drugs are so obvious and blatant in bodybuilding. I think people have it warped that if I just take enough drugs, they think the key is drugs. Don't get me wrong. These guys that we're talking about, they would not look like that without the drugs. But you can't look like that even with the drugs because you weren't born to parents who passed on those long muscle bellies and the wide shoulders and the narrow waist and the ability to stay very, very lean like a lot of these guys do. A lot of these bodybuilders, you'll see them in the off season, they get a little puffy, they gain a little fat, but not much. Not like the rest of us. Trust me. They are a different breed. They're almost like a different species. But they're definitely a different breed than the average bear. What else we got? If you don't know genetics. Okay, Jessica, she says, I am a retired veterinarian. When I use diuretics for, say, heart patients, my goodness, we monitor those pets so closely because it's serious to what could go wrong. And that's just dogs and cats, maybe some bunny rabbits along the way. And so we have people using dangerous compounds, these diuretics, potentially lethal, with no medical monitoring, just hoping and praying for the best. Everyone's like, I feel like shit, but hopefully I'll be okay. Yeah. Oh, boy. Jonas Fried. I don't know how to say JD together. I'm Swedish. Probably Fried, right? I'm Swedish, so it's okay not to pronounce my name correctly. The reason why I asked about T3 is that it was used in very high doses by the coach of the girl that passed away, allegedly. Yeah, I'm not aware of T3 in large doses being instantly fatal. I have heard many instances where women suffer quote-unquote metabolic damage, where basically they shut down their thyroid function, and I've heard some of them have to go on thyroid meds for the rest of their lives because their thyroid function never comes back. That's pretty bad, but at least it's manageable. It's not going to kill you, and it's manageable by taking a little pill every day. Whereas diuretics, you F up with these diuretics. When you're dead, unfortunately, I hope we're all getting a little more sense of our own mortality lately. I know I am. I'm going to be 52 next month, and I'm very grateful to have made it this far, and I don't plan on leaving the earth anytime soon, knock on wood, but no day is guaranteed to us, but I don't want to do anything like diuretics or DNP if I competed again that would possibly take me out like that. No, that's reckless. For what? For a plastic trophy, even for a pro card. For me, what would a pro card do? I could change my Instagram to IFBB Pro Ron Harris. That's what I could do. That's about it. And some people would instantly assign me a lot more credibility because it said IFBB Pro after my name. Jessica, the retired veterinarian, continues. So when I hear people using diuretics like this and they're dying, it just breaks me. I agree. It shouldn't happen. Nobody should be dying. I heard someone say, well, look at runners. Runners die all the time. It's very common. Yeah, people actually do die in marathons. Like, I don't know how many die a year, but a few people do die running marathons every year. Because that's 26.2 miles. Human beings were not meant to go that far. It's brutal. But yeah, I think they know the risk. They're dying because of the strain on the body, the whole system that they're putting. It's not because they just popped a few pills in hopes to get ripped within, before judging starts at 2 o'clock the next day or something. J-Dog, lots of people, these top biders would do whatever to win. I've read where if they could win the Olympian die at 30, they would. I think even if someone says that, and then you're 30, say you win the Olympia and you're 30 years old, this is ridiculous, but let's say the Grim Reaper walks in, that iconic image of death, the personification of death, with the hood, the Sith, that's that curved blade thing, and the skull face, or maybe he's got no. He says, okay, it's your time. You're not going to want to go. So you're not going to say, well, I won the Olympia, I'm ready to die. Dude, 30 is very, very young. 30 is, I think back now to 30, which was almost 22 years ago, and I'm like, wow. If I had died then, I would have missed out on all the things I've had in my life since then, all the people, places, experiences. My son had just been born when I turned 30. No, actually, he was born 7 days later. What am I saying? Yeah, we're 30 days and seven days apart. 30 years and 7 days. Yeah, that goes along with that old. I think it was Robert Goldman who wrote that steroid book. He was like the anti-steroid guy for a while. He was head of doping for the IFBB for many, many years. And I don't know if it was him. Somebody, they always referred to this survey where they asked Olympic athletes, if you could take a pill and you would be guaranteed to win a gold medal, but you would die 3 years later, would you? And I can't remember what the percent was. I think it was like 70% of them said, yeah, I would do it. But you know what? We say these things, but then when you're confronted with the actual, oh my God, I'm going to die right now. That's it. My life is over. Who's going to really say, all right, I'm cool with that. That's fine. I got my gold medal. I got my Olympia, whatever I got. That's cool. I can die. I can die happy now. Nobody. I don't think at that moment anyone except the suicidal would really want to die. And that's a whole other story. Dr. Fool2. Wait, who is the person in the thumbnail? That's me. Ronnie P. Yeah, that was me. I got into really good condition. Probably could have gotten into a little better condition if I had a coach to guide me with the right chemicals. Maybe that would have given me a little more edge, but I did it all diet, cardio. I used Clen. Clen was like my go-to. Clen and ephedrine, ECA stack supplements, legal fat burners. They were legal at the time. You can still find ephedrine, but, I wasn't using anything crazy. Arnold is numero uno. Aaron Simo cry. Okay, that's a whole other. How did you just interject that into this conversation? And then another one about Arnold and Redcon. No, I'm not going there. I'm in between. I'm in an awkward position with that, so I'm not even going to comment. I'm sponsored by Redcon. I like Aaron. Love the products. I love Arnold. He was my inspiration, my idol from when I was a kid. He's the reason I started doing all this. So, and we're going to cover the Arnold Classic. That's a very important show. It's going to be a great lineup this year. MD is going to cover the Arnold. I'm sad to see this divide that's happening in the world, not just America. You see it a lot in the USA, but I know it's worldwide now. People that are pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, wear your mask. We shouldn't have to wear a mask. It's dividing the whole world, this ridiculous virus. I can't believe how long this is going on for. Because it started the end of February is when I started hearing about it, February 2020. And we're already almost into September 2021. My God, when's this going to end? All right. Guys that cheat on their diet consistently and rely heavily on diuretics instead of being disciplined and putting in the work look like they have tired and burnt looking physiques. That's from Rez, R-E-Z. Yeah, you can't do anything anything extreme to your body and expect to look good. It's just the body does not respond well, especially if you try to suck out all that water. Yeah, you're going to look like dog shit. I'm sorry. You'll lose some water, but if you had fat to lose, that fat is still there. So now you have flat muscles because the diuretics sucked all the water out. You have flat muscles, and you have the fat on top of that because the diuretics didn't take the fat away. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Is 24 too early to take steroids, says Emperor himself. There's no rule. There are no rules. It's a matter of personal opinion. 24, you're a legal adult. You can do as you please. If you feel you're ready, if you've done the research, I always say, this is just my personal recommendation. I like to see someone train for at least 3 to 5 years, at least naturally, just so they can really get a good handle on their training, on their nutrition, how their body responds to various foods, rest. Just build a good base of size and strength. Then when you introduce the anabolics, the gear into it, I think you get better results. But, there's no age. I hate seeing teenagers on steroids personally. I started when I was 26, almost 27. 96, 27. No, I'm sorry. I just turned 27. So I wasn't much older than you are now. But I had been training consistently since I was 14. So it was 13 years of training. I just feel like you should also do a lot of research, know all about the drugs, side effects, doses, do plenty of research so you know what you're getting into. You don't want to go into that ignorant or blind. You want to know what you're putting in your body, potential side effects. Maybe there are things you can take to mitigate those side effects. You want to know all that because you want to be safe. At 24, you're not thinking about being 40 or 50 or 60. I know you're not. I wasn't. But, unless unfortunately, if you tragically die young, you are going to get to those ages, and you don't want to be paying a price with, organ damage and things like that later on that could have been prevented if you had known what you were doing when you were younger with the gear. This is a Russian. It's in Cyrillic, so I can't read his name. I assume it's a him. Where do we go? I can't even read that because it's in Cyrillic. As Shelby Klein, I could tell he didn't give me something crazy. He stopped me to do stupid things. And I was so upset listening to all those things about him. He saved me and cares about even my period. Oh, your period, so it's a female. I can't really see the avatar. Yeah, like I said, we seem to have a mixed bag with the Shelby clients. Some previous Shelby Starnes clients are coming out and saying, he gave me all these horrible protocols and did this. And others are saying, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Never told me to do anything crazy. I had only good experiences. I'm not judging. I know nothing about Shelby's protocols. I think I've met him once in my life. So yeah, thanks for the answer. IPB Pro Jada Beverly. Oh shit. Hey Jada. Jada, you looked really good in Tampa. Yeah, I'm glad you made top 10. Good job. Calix Rose, do you think low-level competitors need coaches? If you have no idea what you're doing, a coach would definitely be a good idea. I never had a coach, and I think back to some of the mistakes I made in my early years of competing. I'm like, really, dude? What an idiot you were. I learned the hard way through years of trial and error, and a coach would have saved me. A good coach would have saved me plenty of time, and I would have showed up. There were many shows, contests I showed up. I wasn't in shape. I tried to diet too fast. I came in too heavy. A couple times I over dieted. I was too skinny. Somebody just to keep an eye on me and say, chill out with the cardio, or you need to do more cardio, or 8 weeks is not long enough to prep. What are you thinking, you idiot? I didn't have any of that. So low-level competitors, they don't need a coach, but if they want to avoid a lot of common mistakes and they don't know a lot about the process, a coach is definitely a good idea. And at the highest level, like I said, it's for the drug protocols, it's for the drug expertise. It's also to keep these people from self-destructing, either with saying, at the end, your mind, it's very hard to be objective with yourself at the very end. So you'll you'll do things like, well, I think I'm getting too flat, I better eat some more. When you're not flat, you're just, you're leaner and you're not as big and full as when you're eating, 500, 800 grams of carbs a day. So yeah, you're not going to be that full. Or you'll go the other way. You'll go crazy like I used to do at times. Like I'd wake up at, I used to always have really bad trouble sleeping during prep toward the end, especially. I'd wake up at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Like my gym's 24 hours. I'm like, I'll just go do some cardio. And I would do cardio after my weight. So sometimes I go back to the gym at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night and do more cardio. And I didn't have a coach to say, Ron, what the F are you doing? Enough. Chill out. You don't need more cardio. Just rest. Everything's coming along fine. Sean Franklin, hi. Happy Pro Jada Beverly, the Muscle Goddess. I pretty much never use them. Diuretics, good. I guess that's why I sometimes show up on stage looking a little bit of conditioning, but mainly it's because I get more body fat off. It's not really pushing out water. See, Jada is a top female pro bodybuilder, and she just told you, she even admits when she's not at her best on stage, it's because she didn't get the body fat off. She doesn't use diuretics, and they would help a little bit, but she recognizes you're not going to go from out of shape to shredded by getting rid of water. It's fat. It's fat. But like I said, people are delusional. They look in the mirror and say, that's just water. Let's put it this way. If your glutes, striated glutes are like the gold standard conditioning. If you can't see striations on them, that's not water. You're holding fat. You still have to get fat to get rid of. Unfortunately, you have to get very, very lean that's the last place your body's going to want to lose fat for almost anybody is your glutes. So, people will say, once I drop my water, no. I mean, even when I was using them the last couple of shows, my glutes were mostly in, and the diuretics helped get them a little bit leaner, but even in the thumbnails, the glutes are in, but they're not as clear as I've seen on a lot of the pros. They could definitely have been, and I would have had to keep dropping. I would have another 5 pounds, another 10 pounds. And because I don't have much muscle mass compared to these people, I just would have ended up looking even thinner. So no bueno. Davenport Barbell. That's Scott Davenport. Scott, how do you get all those awesome guests on your damn podcast? I don't know. Dan Monlick and Jack Tan. Your check is in the mail. Thank you. Jessica Roberts again. I think athletes today from amateur to pro level feel the pressure to perform to perfection every time. Endurance sports, bodybuilding, CrossFit, pro leagues. Why have we become so obsessed with perfection? My theory, we see perfection on social media. It's a fake. It's a fraud. It's a hoax. People put everything on social media that they want us to see. They show us on their awesome vacation, on their boat with their Lambo. You never see them, 2 a.m. crying into their wine or, people only show the things they want you to see on social media. And other people see that, the highlight, it's basically the highlight reel of people's lives, or in some cases, it's not even reality. That's not their boat, that's not their car, that's not their Rolex, whatever. I don't have a Rolex. But, people see that and they start feeling bad about themselves, and they feel like they have to match or exceed that. Keep up with the Joneses, as we used to say. That's just my little pet theory. Multi Macy 25. Ron, may I ask you about your point of view on Sean Ray's recent video about the guru coaches risk using anabolics? Do you agree with what he was talking about? I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'll take a look at it later. Yeah, but I mean, Sean's been harping on this issue for years because he never had a coach, and he sees athletes. He's just like myself. He's been around a very long time. He's been around even longer. He sees athletes dying and having serious health problems, and they were following the protocols that their coaches gave them. Yeah, that's a problem. It's a huge problem. I mean, we're not making $100 million a year like some baseball player. Does some of them make that much, right? I mean, the money in the sport is not worth risking your life, risking your long-term health for. At the amateur level, most people never even turn pro. Most pros are never going to make any money from competing. Maybe they can get sponsorships. They can use leverage that pro status to get more coaching clients or charge more for their coaching. But the actual competition part doesn't pay well. I got to start wrapping this up because the George Peterson video is going up at 1. I can't be on here when that goes up. Can Nick Walker crack top 5 at the O? Maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't bet against it. It's going to be a very tough top 5, as we know. You got Big Ramy defending his title. You got Brandon Curry wants to get his title back. You have William Bonac, Hadi Chupan, You know, there's not a lot of Rolly's qualified now. Nathan's qualified. There's a lot of really good people. Akeem Williams. I mean, we can't say for sure what's going to happen. We don't know, but Nick's got a hell of a physique. I'm very, very interested to see how he does. You know, if he can get in that first call out. You are in Olympian level condition at pick. Wow, says Dr. Fool too. I used to get pretty lean. Looking back, I could have got even a little bit leaner. Like I said, maybe if I had a coach give me that little extra edge with a ton of friggin' dangerous chemicals and, who knows. But I almost said diuretics. But thank you. Appreciate that. Hey, how's it going? Jazz Dice. Can you wish this girl a happy birthday for me? Her name is Andrea Roos. It's her birthday. She got into bodybuilding because of this channel. Happy birthday, Andrea. Many more. Thanks for watching. Jada says, look for me at Savannah with a much improved package. Savannah next year? Are they having another show in Savannah? Because didn't they already have one in Savannah? I'm out of the loop. Let's see. Jessica Roberts, agree, Ron. Social media is a big part of it. Happy I didn't grow up with it. Me too. We were, being a teenager and all that, it's hard. Puberty, adolescence, it's hard enough as it is. But social media, I think, has just made it so much worse for these kids. They're always posting pictures and videos and chatting and they're in this false world, this unreal, this delusional reality where everyone's like cool dancers and cool and hip, and I don't even want to go there. Just it's social. I'm glad I didn't have social media growing up. Davenport, Boston Lloyd definitely got my podcast ton of attention. Still love to have you on to hear your whole story. I'll bug you in the DMs again. Yeah. I mean, you got Tom Platz, Scott. I can't get Tom Platz. I can't get him to. I don't know how you did it. Yeah. God bless you, kid. I call you kid because I'm sure you're younger than me. Jessica says, so excited for the Arnold and the O. Such a fan of these guys. Going to be awesome. Yeah. I think it's cool that we have the Arnold and the Olympia 2 weeks apart. Not that I want it to be like that every year. I like having the Arnold in the early spring where it's a good half a year away from the Olympia and sort of sets the tone for the pro season to follow. But it's also pretty cool to have it back to back like this where it's almost like it's almost like having the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl. It's not a perfect analogy, but they're always like a week or two apart. Just two huge events in our sport so close together. It's exciting. It's going to be a lot of work for Team MD. Trust me. Let's see. Jeremy Jaswinski, Ron, you still looked and look great, especially back in the Ironman magazine days. Your true inspiration from early years lifting. Thank you. Yeah, I've been doing this for a minute. My sugar daddy's controlling me. This will be questions. What was your favorite androgen, Ron? I mean, testosterone. It's sweaty. It's humid in here. Test is best, as they say. If I could only use one steroid, obviously it would be testosterone. Beyond test, Tren, very, very effective, very powerful, very toxic, unfortunately. Not a good idea to use a lot of it or use it for very long periods of time. Tren always worked well for me. D-ball and Androl, as far as Androl, I never used as much. D-ball was more an oral I used many more times, but yeah, those you can't go wrong with. Those are, if you can't build muscle using those, good luck. Kudos for sharing your info and experience. Roger Lockridge, great writer, great. Not many great writers anymore because due to social media and text messaging and all that, the world is very quickly becoming quasi-illiterate. So good to see another person carrying on the actual written text form of journalism as Roger does. I hope they don't change the standard for condition. Yeah, this will be the last question because I got to clear this channel. So Aaron Aramini just says, sure hope they don't change the standard for condition. The question that was just asked put that on the Ask Dr. T on this channel. The last video we posted, which was Tuesday. He's much more qualified to answer that. So I'm not even looking at any more questions because I have to wrap this up. But as far as, Jake Wood did come out and he made a statement about, he's very disturbed and upset about this turn of events and nobody should be dying. Nobody should be suffering serious health consequences, chasing condition. So they're supposed to reevaluate and change the standards for condition. But I just don't see that happening because they've tried that in the past. And they say, they tried that with women's bodybuilding at one point. They said, we want to see less condition. And so what happened was women showed up with less condition, and they did not win. They lost to women with better condition. So if I'm a judge and I see, let's say, 5 great physiques that are all really good, and one of them is in, they're all pretty even. Let's just say it's 2. Let's just make it easy. 2 people side by side. Very, very similar attributes. Great size, great shape, great structure. One's in better condition. I'm going to give it to the person with better condition. I mean, what would you do? Yeah, man. I guess I'll take one more. Jeez. This will be my last one. Yeah. So, this is the last one. Jeremy Jaswinski asks, what are your thoughts on calves basically not being judged? Okay, so calves are very much a genetically influenced muscle group. I've never seen anybody with very, very high calf insertions. So let's say this is your, let's do it this way. Let's say that's your knee and this is your ankle, okay? If your calves insert, say, way down here toward your ankle, you don't even need to work calves. Just walking around, you're probably going to have big calves. You'll certainly get big calves just from doing other leg exercises. If your calves are way up here, as you see most often on African Americans, there's nothing you can do. You can't fill in that. You can't fill in this huge gap. That's a tendon. You can't build any muscle because there are no muscle cells there. All the muscle cells are bunched up near the top. Whereas somebody with really long calf muscles, they can build these enormous calves. They have that much more muscle to work with. Why they're judged, I think it's either consciously or subconsciously, because judges are human and they know if someone has those insertions, there's not a damn thing they can do. But then you could say, well, it's mostly genetic anyway. I don't have great arm genetics. I don't get a pass for not, I don't get a pass because I can't build huge arms because my genetics for arms suck. But I do see people all the time getting passes, I think, that's the way I perceive it, for not having any calf development, because it is mainly a genetic thing. So yeah, I mean, I've said this before, like men's physique, which I think eventually they're going to move to more of a bike short, so you can actually see the thighs, because right now you can't. All you see is the calves in the lower body, and a lot of these guys have very, very poor calf development. Clearly it doesn't matter, because I see guys winning shows even with very, very small calves. I see plenty of guys in the top 5 in men's physique, very small calves. I'm sure they try to train them, I'm sure. Just like I'm sure a lot of these guys with huge calves. I used to train with a guy at Goon, Chris Griffin, you might know him. 21-inch calves with not doing a damn thing for me, 6'5" also. But great calf genetics, they insert very low. I remember he decided one day when we were training, he says, I'm going to start training calves. Within 3 weeks of training them, he put over 1 inch on his calves. They were 22 inches. I'm not exaggerating. But you know, it's not a calf contest. Anyway, guys, I do have to wrap this up because just a little more than 10 minutes, we're premiering George Peterson interview that I did. George Peterson III, the Bull, 3rd place at the Olympia 212 last year, 3rd place 3 years in a row at the Classic Physique Olympia. I like George a lot. I always enjoy speaking with him. Cool dude, chill dude, never flies off the handle. And we talked all about his Olympia prep that he's doing right now, and his chances for winning Olympia. Things like, does he think being taller, because he's 5'8", he's taller than all the other guys trying to win that title. We went over a lot of things, and George had some good answers. So check that out, guys. I appreciate you watching this. I'll get to some of these questions on the next one of these I do. I do these every now and then whenever I have, you know, a little gap in time and the mood strikes me. So appreciate you watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up. Share the videos. Do all that good stuff. And that's it, man. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.